Hello, this is Michael Diamond, and you're watching Muscle Central. Okay, I'll be talking about Roelly Winklaar, fresh off his win at the Arnold, Australia, just under a week ago. Like I said, after William Bonac took first place in Columbus 3 weeks prior, uh, that he has established himself as a major threat to Phil Heath, very dangerous threat to Phil Heath in 2018 Mr. Olympia. I'm going to say the same about Roelly Winklaar. It was very impressive. He came in a little sharper, and I think between his slight improvement in conditioning, along with the freak factor that he brings, and that's what edged him ahead of Dexter Jackson, who placed third, and William Bonac, who slipped down to second. Now, let's try to compare Roelly Winklaar with Phil Heath. Excuse me. The competitions are basically determined on the 8 mandatory poses in the comparison rounds. How does Roelly Winklaar stack up against Phil Heath side by side in the mandatory poses? What's interesting is that we've never had a chance, I don't think, in competition to actually see the two of them side by side. Let's go through the 8 mandatory poses. I'm going to go first to the back shots, the back double biceps and the back lat spread, because that's where Phil Heath basically takes everybody out. He's been virtually untouchable from the rear, top to bottom, the detail and everything. He's very, very hard to beat. Back double biceps. Like I said, head to toe, tremendous detail. Not that Roelly Winklaar doesn't have good detail in the back. He seems to have a problem, and I don't think it's a muscle problem, a muscle development problem. Maybe the way he's holding his body, or lack of muscle control when he hits that pose. But when he hits that pose, his lower back seems very flat. So the back double biceps, with the detail and everything that Phil Heath brings to that pose, I'm gonna definitely give him that shot. But Phil Heath has a problem when he do the back lat spread. Roelly Winklaar does not have that same issue with the lower back, where it appears to be shallow. And like I said, he has not quite the same detail as Phil Heath from the back, but he has good detail, and the sheer size, the sheer mass that he brings from the back when he does that back lat spread, he spreads so wide, he's as wide as the side of a barn. And I think the conditioning, the detail in his back, in the back lat spread, combined with that freak factor, that freaky mass that he brings, I think that he'll edge Phil Heath in the back shot. So now Phil Heath is already running into trouble now, because those 2 shots that he generally dominates in, he's not going to dominate in a side-by-side comparison with Roelly Winklaar. He'll take the back double biceps, but I don't see him taking the back lat spread. Let's turn around and face the front now. Abs and thighs. It's close. Neither one is for neither one of them is it a very good shot, but I would probably give Phil Heath the edge in the shot. Better shape in his quads, and that's basically it. But it's close. I would still give Phil Heath that shot. So now we have Phil Heath 2-1 against Roelly Winklaar. Let's go to the front double biceps and the front lat spread. Now, those two shots, neither one of them are that good for Phil Heath. First off, he has narrow clavicles, shoulders are narrow. And the way he holds those two poses, not very good. He kind of crunches up and he makes himself look even narrower. So, and Roelly Winklaar, when he hits those two shots, he opens up on both of them. As I said, Roelly Winklaar, his back is so wide, and when he hits that lat spread, those lats flare out. It looks like he's ready to take off and soar into flight. I do not see Phil Heath beating him in the front lat spread. Not with the way Roelly Winklaar's lats spread out. He has good conditioning and that freak factor. So now we got a 2-2 split between Winklaar and Heath in 4 of the mandatory poses. I'm sorry. Then in the front double biceps, like I said, Phil Heath has narrow clavicles and he doesn't hold the pose very well. He makes himself look even more narrow, and it's close against Winklaar. Winklaar doesn't totally dominate him on it, but with his conditioning, which is, he brings good conditioning and that freak factor, he can edge out Phil Heath on the front double biceps also. It's a toss-up, so let's put that one on the side for the moment. We got it split up. 2 for Heath, 2 for Winklaar, and 1 can go either way. Side triceps. I find it a little difficult for anybody to beat Roelly Winklaar in the side triceps. Roelly Winklaar has the best arms in the sport today. Not to say that Phil Heath doesn't have good arms, but Winklaar has the best in the sport today, maybe the best of all time. So now we have Roelly Winklaar taking the side triceps. So now we have a 3-2 with 1 up for grabs. Side chest. I don't like the way Phil Heath holds it. I don't think he holds it very good. He still has a good side chest. I don't think he displays it as good as he could. But when you put him side to side in that shot against Roelly Winklaar, there's no comparison. Just the mass, the thickness, the huge shoulders, the best arms in the sport today, if not all time. We got Roelly Winklaar taking the side chest also. We're down to 1 more pose, the most muscular. Most muscular, Roelly Winklaar. Is there anybody in the game that's going to take him out on that shot? It's not happening. There's nobody out there that's going to beat him in that shot. He might have the best muscular of any Mr. Olympia, any competitor we've ever seen in the history of the sport, of the history of the Mr. Olympia. So let's break this down. We got 8 mandatory poses. I'm going to give Roelly Winklaar the back lat spread. I'm going to give Phil Heath the back double bicep. So we got a split up over there. When we turn around to the front, I'm going to give Phil Heath the abs and thighs. We got a 2-1 in favor of Heath. Side triceps. As I said, he's not beating the man with the best arms in the business. Now we got a 2-2 split. The front double biceps and the front lat spread. Front lat spread is on top of the fact that Phil Heath doesn't hold it properly. He scrunches up when he holds the pose to make his narrow clavicles seem even more narrow. And with the width of Roelly Winklaar's lats, we got Roelly Winklaar taking the front lat spread. So we got a 3-2 in favor of Winklaar. Front double biceps, not the absolute best for either one, but considering the width of Heath's shoulders and the way he displays it, Roelly Winklaar brings conditioning and a freak factor. I'm going to give the front double biceps to Roelly Winklaar. Now we got a 4-6 for Roelly Winklaar. 2 shots left. I'm sorry, not 4-6, 4-2. So now we have 2 shots left. Side chest and most muscular. With the size of the thickness, the mass in Roelly Winklaar, the side chest, thick, massive chest, huge shoulders, best arms in the business. It's going to be very difficult for Phil Heath to beat him in the side chest. Let's, for the sake of the argument, give Phil Heath the side chest. So that'll give Roelly 4 to Phil Heath's 3. Although I don't think he will take him, but I'm going to, for the sake of this conversation, for the sake of the argument, we're going to give it to him. So now we have a 4-3 split. A 4-3 Winklaar Heath with 1 shot left. The most muscular. And as I said before, there is nobody in the business today, maybe nobody in the business in the history of the IFBB that's going to beat Roelly Winklaar in the most muscular. So that gives Roelly Winklaar 5 of the mandatory poses. So even giving Phil Heath the gift of the side chest, I still see it in the mandatories and a side-by-side comparison. 5-3 in favor of Winklaar. Like I said in the beginning of this video, we haven't seen the two of them side-by-side in competition. I think after Roelly Winklaar's showing in the Arnold, Australia, we are going to see them in the side-by-side comparisons. As I said after the Arnold, Ohio victory for Bonac, which I think established him as a very serious threat to Phil Heath, very dangerous threat to Phil Heath. He's a very consistent bodybuilder who improves with every showing and brings conditioning. Now Phil Heath has Roelly Winklaar he has to deal with, who has improved over the years, consistently has improved his conditioning over the last few years since settling with the Camel Crew in Kuwait. And to add to that, the freak factor that Roelly Winklaar brings, this is going to be a very interesting 2018 Mr. Olympia. Phil Heath, as I also said in the previous video, I don't think is going to get any better at this point. I think he's reached his apex. I think the best he can do is maintain, but in my opinion, I've seen a little bit of regression in his physique. I personally think the best physiques that he brought to the stage were 2011 and 2012, with 2016 being close but not quite the same. Phil Heath has a serious problem coming this year in the Mr. Olympia. Not only does he have to worry about William Bonac, who is probably the most improved bodybuilder over the last 3 years or so, who is pretty complete from head to toe, front to back, and with his conditioning, he has this freak of a man that's called Roelly Winklaar that is bringing conditioning to the stage. Phil Heath, your days as Mr. Olympia might be over. My personal opinion is he is not going to tie Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman for 8 consecutive wins. We're going to see a new Mr. Olympia. I think it's going to come down to Roelly Winklaar and William Bonac. And the key thing in this is going to be conditioning. I personally like William Bonac. I think he's a little more complete. But if Roelly Winklaar comes in with that same freak factor that he's been bringing over the years with improved conditioning, we might just be looking at the new Mr. Olympia, Roelly Winklaar. Let me know what you think, whether you agree with me on this or not. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and by all means subscribe. This is Michael Diamond from Muscle Central, signing out.